This game plan beats PSG. Villa fans, PSG fans, you are in for a treat today. I have come up with a game plan for this game, and I'm going to show you how Aston Villa can beat PSG. Villa are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We are not going into this game feeling like we can't win, because it's the Champions League. Of course we can win. Of course, as Villa fans, we have to believe that we win. Unai Emerys will believe that he can come up with a tactical masterclass against Luis Enrique. So what we're going to do on this episode, we're going to break down the whole game tactically. We're going to take a look at PSG, the areas in which they will want to get into, how do they attack. We'll take a look at Aston Villa on how we attack, how we set up. We're also going to take a look at an average position of all Champions League games that both teams have played. So we'll be able to see where different players are occupying space on the football pitch. And then we're going to take a look at how I believe Villa can win and where I feel like the game will be won. Where are the key battles? What areas can Villa capitalise on? And how do I feel like the first leg is going to go? What do Aston Villa need to do to get the victory in this game? So we're going to take a look at PSG first. We're going to take a look at how they set up, what shape do they want to get into, and what can Aston Villa fans expect from PSG. So PSG fans, Villa fans, if you're enjoying this content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy the show. So PSG, generically they will set up in a 4-3-3, but that is not what they are. They are a fully hybrid team under Luis Enrique. There's lots of rotations, there's lots of movement, there's lots of hybrid shapes in essence with their defending. And then the further we go down the pitch, we've got X factor, we've got creativity, we've got flair, we've got a bit of everything. And this PSG team, as I've said before, are a wonderfully coached team, and they are very, very good. But they are beatable. Villa can beat this PSG team. So how do PSG move into their attacking shapes? So we have 4-3-3, and they will revert into a front six. Now, how do they get to that front six? And what happens is both fullbacks, Hakimi on the right and Mendes on the left, will move into central spaces and occupy these spaces through here. What you'll see from both of their heat maps is that their heat maps generally drift inside these areas and then merge a little bit more centrally into these zones as well. You'll find that happens on both sides. You'll see that both wide players, whether that's Barcola or Kvaratskhelia, will stay high and wide through here. Main focal point and striker in this team is Dembele. So both fullbacks will get into these central areas. We will have Neves and we will have Ruiz, who will occupy spaces on either side. Vitinha will be the one that will make up that hybrid back three. So they will leave themselves high with two central defenders, and this will be Beraldo in this game. Marquisio is suspended, and then we will have Pacho as well. And Vitinha will be the one that's sort of making up that hybrid back three, and he'll be occupying space around these areas. And then you will get one of these players, Neves, who will move into more of a central area. We'll have Ruiz as well. And then we've got this hybrid front six, and then we've got a seventh player through there as well. So this is the shape that PSG really want to get into. They want lots of overloads on both sides. We've got an overload on here. We've got an overload on this side as well. And then we've got central attacking areas with players inside a central area as well. So in essence, this is the build-up, and this is how PSG want to build up and want to be able to get set into their structure. It's all about keeping a territorial advantage, camping the opposition into their own half with lots of different rotations, lots of different movements. and about keeping the opposition defence pinned in with this structural shape in what they've got with that little triangle and that back three as well. So that's PSG in a nutshell. Aston Villa system, hybrid in itself, but with a few more different variations depending on personnel and what we want from the game. So I'll briefly talk you through all of them, and then I'll touch on the one that I feel like Aston Villa will go with in this game. So Matty Cash, fullback, can have the licence to attack and go forward and go into those areas. If Aston Villa's right back is asked to go forward, what you'll find is that Boubacar Kamara, the deep-lying central midfielder, will be asked to cover and screen Matty Cash that goes forward. In turn, we then get a hybrid three at the back with your left back going forward and offering width through there as well. You may get the left-sided player inverting, and then Luca Dean is the one that's offering the width through there as well. If, for example, we've got Leon Bailey who's offering the width, then we might not want the fullback to be able to go up and down, because our width can come from Leon Bailey, who will be staying high and wide anyway. You may get some overlaps as well, but that job, we don't really need him to do that. And then Boubacar Kamara doesn't necessarily need to be screening the fullback because he's not going too far forward anyway. So that's another slight variation that we've got. If we decide to go with Marcus Rashford high and wide on the left-hand side, then what that will generally mean is that Luca Dean's job, he doesn't really need to go up and down either, because your width is coming from Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. If we're having width on the left-hand side, the width then can sometimes come from the fullback who's going into that area as well. So we don't really necessarily always play with two wide players actively in attacking positions. We rotate with what we're doing with our fullbacks as well. For me, for this game, away from home, I want to go with a hybrid right back. I don't want my right back going into these attacking areas at all, because I think the big battle is in central midfield. Aston Villa have to win this battle. The three of PSG, Neves, Vitinha and Ruiz, is so strong, and already you can see that we've only got two players in there and PSG have got three. The overload is already there. So what we don't want Boubacar Kamara having to move out of this central midfield position and have to start screening a right back, because what you're then doing, you're leaving too much space. Boubacar Kamara then has to travel to engage in central midfield. So for me, Boubacar Kamara has to stay in that central area. I don't want him going anywhere near there. That leads me to believe that Unai Emery will go with a hybrid right back. Disasi. We will play with three centre halves. So you could take your pick on Pau, Konsa and Disasi. Disasi in that area, really strong, not having to go further forward. That's your hybrid back three. Luca Dean can then go forward, but then can shuffle across as well. But Luca Dean's defensive work is absolutely quality, so I believe he will be in this area as well. Rashford, high and wide on that left-hand side, offering that width. And then on the right-hand side, an asymmetric style. We can have someone who's going to be attacking out wide as well, but we then can have someone who can drift inside as well. And then your front two, you've got Morgan Rogers dropping and making up a three in midfield. Then that's where you get your Rogers, who will be sitting on Vitinha and stopping Vitinha getting on the ball, moving into those areas, man for man marking Vitinha, and then we man for man in central midfield. We've got three players up against the PSG three as well. Ollie Watkins up top, he will be running into channels, he will be the width of the 18-yard box. You won't see Watkins out wide. He will be very, very central and waiting to pick up on the balls over the top or running into channels, stretching the PSG back line. And then you've got pace and power from Rashford as well. So in essence, this is how I expect Villa to line up. Hybrid three at the back. We've got a player that can go into these areas as well. And then we've got that sort of front four as well. If we need to make a front sort of 5, then we can add that extra midfielder, and then you've got your front 5 with Tielemans attacking, Boubacar Kamara, and everybody looking really defensively sound as well. So that's how I expect Villa to line up, and that's how I expect it to match against PSG. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the 2 teams who I believe will play, and we'll have a look at their average positions, and we'll merge it all together, and we'll get a bigger picture of what we can see on the football pitch as well. So I just wanted to bring you a little bit of a case study then on the Champions League and the average positions of the Champions League. So I've gone with the 2 lineups that I expect. So we've got Villa are in the red and we've got PSG in the blue. So we've got Luca Dean, Pau, Konsa, Disasi, Kamara, Tielemans. We've got Rashford, we've got Rodgers, Watkins and Leon Bailey. Here we've got Beraldo, we've got Pacho, we've got Mendes, we've got Barcola, we've got Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Hakimi, and then we've got Vitinha, Neves and Ruiz as well, very, very close together. So it's interesting to see the pattern of both teams in the Champions League on their shapes and where they want to get into. And obviously it's kind of what we expect. You've got Hakimi, who's getting into those attacking areas. We've got that midfield 3 of PSG who are rotating around, and these are average positions. So this is where they're averagely positioned over the course of the whole of the Champions League so far. Obviously we've got different little permutations that Disasi's only played the odd few game, Kvaratskhelia has only played the odd few game as well, but we can really start to see rotations on all of the positions in which they've played in, and you can already see that this is a very, very important area. And again, if you're looking at the game being mapped out, that defensively, if we're talking about Disasi being very high, then we know that we've got to really make sure we're doing defensive work in these areas to make sure that we are very, very solid in these defensive areas. But you can start to see little bits of areas on the pitch of where Aston Villa will be able to exploit this area in particular. Hakimi in this average position. We've got 3 attacking players as well, average. And then here, big space, big space, big space, big space in between these fullbacks. These are the areas that Villa are really going to want to be able to get into. We're going to want to be able to get into these areas with ball carriers, players that can carry the ball, move the ball up the pitch and get into these areas as well. So there are areas in this PSG team that Aston Villa will 100% be able to exploit. And it's all about whether we are able to do that as well. So average positions over the course of the Champions League so far, this is where the positions of the players are being mapped out as well. So when we're talking about PSG attacking, this is how I've mapped it up and where major matchups are going to be. So we've got player out wide for PSG, player out wide for PSG. We've got fullback who's inverted, 2 centre-halves, Vitinha, who's screening that back 2, and then we've got the PSG 2 central midfielders. For Aston Villa, this is how I expect us to be. Back 4, but the back 4 can be very, very narrow. What you can expect from Aston Villa is that we can match up and double up on that wide player. Then we become a back 5. We become a back 5 with the ball on that right-hand side. If the ball then moves to the left-hand side, you can expect this player in Rashford or whoever plays out wide to come across, and then the situation will be similar, and then we become a back 5 when we're shuffling across through there. The beauty of Villa having 3 centre-halves and a full-back is that defensively we can be very narrow and we can spread the width of the 18-yard box. Then at times when pressure becomes and when we're having to do a little bit of work that is difficult and we're having to suffer a little bit, we can also then become a back 6. So the 6 can become that situation through there. You've then got your double pivot. We've got Rodgers that can drop in there, and then we can become a 6-3-1 when we're needing to defend. It's all about making sure that these players are doubled up on all times. We cannot allow a 1v1 out wide. That would be a non-negotiable for me in this game. We cannot allow Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, Doué, Dembele. We cannot allow them to be 1v1. We cannot allow them to be 1v1, cutting in on their stronger foot and then getting shots on at goal. So it's vitally important that Villa double up and that we are making sure that we are defensively solid, dropping into a back six, dropping into a back five. And these are all tactical adaptations that are part of an Unai Emery system. This isn't something new. This isn't Villa parking the bus. It's not Villa just defending for our lives. It's being tactically aware that this is how we can defend and how we can get into specific situations when needed. These are the shapes that we need to get into as well. Aston Villa pressing against this PSG team. I'm about to show you something that I believe Unai Emery is going to do. We know Aston Villa are 4-4-2. When we're pressing, we're going to become a 4-3-3. I'm going to show you how right now. So, Aston Villa can shift into a 4-4-2. This is the 4-4-2 shape. When the ball is in this area, you will often see Villa just moving across into a 4-4-2. 4-4-2 covers most dimensions of a football pitch. And Villa, often, if ball's on this side, we press, we press, we press, we all move over, and that's how we generally move around when we are out of possession. Out of possession in football is very important because in this game, you might think, oh, PSG knocking it about the back, Villa shuffling across, moving across, and it's very, very generic on how we're moving around. But you can control a game of football without the football, because what you can do is you can move and manipulate the opposition into specific areas. For example, we know that PSG want to be hybrid. We know they want to get into that. But we need to stop them from being able to do that. So allowing them to move the ball out here, congesting the pitch over this one side, shutting out central midfield is very, very important. You can do that without the ball. Now, Villa are 4-4-2, so we know that if we are pressing in a 4-4-2 shape, this player is always going to be free. But Villa, tactically, if we press in a 4-3-3, we can stop that from happening. This is how. Rashford goes high, balls with this player, Rashford high, Watkins high, Rodgers. Shut out the passing lane into Vitinha. How else you do that is you're doing it because you're stopping this ball from being able to go into this area by pressing in a 3. How it becomes 4-3-3 is you'll have Kamara, Tielemans and a wide player. So we could say Bailey. And what they end up doing is we go here, we go here and we go here. Note now that we are in 4-3-3 and we are completely shutting out the areas into this area through here. We're stopping the ball, we're going man for man in midfield and we're stopping it going into those areas there. The big thing for Villa in this game is winning our duels. If we have to win all of our duels. We have to make sure we are being aggressive, we're winning the aerials, we're winning the tackles on the ground, and we're making it very, very difficult. So by going into this 4-3-3, when we're pressing, it's going to be very important to making sure that we're not isolated through here. Having Bailey out there in a 4-4-2 and allowing one midfielder, whether it's Vitinha, Ruiz or Neves, to be able to just pick up the ball, turn, drive forward and attack these spaces would be an absolute disaster for Aston Villa. So we have to find a way tactically on how we're going to stop that from happening. And Villa going into a 4-3-3 out of possession when the ball's here is something I can see working really well. Again, I've showed you how it can work when we're on this side here. So you've got Rashford, Watkins and Rodgers. When it goes out to the opposite side, we're the same situation because we are Bailey, we are Rodgers, we are Watkins, and then we are Kamara, we are Tielemans, and we are Marcus Rashford. Again, we're at 4-3-3, 3, and then you've got 3 inside that area as well. So that's how the 3 can keep shuffling across from side to side, and we can just keep flipping it and moving it and working around through there. So Villa out of possession, that's what I can expect. And that's a little tactical thing that I think we can do to navigate through this midfield area. Now, PSG will want to get into this shape majority of the time. 2 at the back, Vitinha, Neves or Ruiz, vice versa, rotating, moving around, etc. Wide player, full-back, and then we've got 2 midfielders and a striker, okay? Now, when PSG are attacking and getting set, this is how they're going to want to attack. How do Villa attack PSG? PSG will leave 2 centre-halves up top, and we've seen that Aston Villa against Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Manchester City can exploit this situation, one of the best teams in Europe at doing it. This area, Villa can exploit and dominate and create massive amounts of problems for PSG because Ollie Watkins on that shoulder, ball over the top, they've got huge problems with Watkins' pace because that is isolation. Watkins sits himself on one of their central defenders, boom, ball over the top, peels over, and he's away. He's running clean through. That is a situation that I think Villa will try to get into and look to exploit. We can go short, we can go long. We play out from the back, or we can go straight out long and try and exploit them as well. 2 full-backs that are getting forward and wanting to get into those areas anyway, it leaves massive amounts of space here and here to be able to exploit as well. If you can get into those areas quickly and you can exploit this area, and this area, the space behind here and here, that is one area that Aston Villa are going to want to be able to massively be able to exploit as well. But the also massive issue for PSG is that Aston Villa have very, very good players that can carry the ball, that can drive forward, that can dribble. Morgan Rogers can burst through tight areas and get Villa further up the football pitch and enable us to be able to create opportunities by being able to dribble and drive forward. That's one of the big makeups of an Unai Emery team, is the ability to have ball carriers on the ball as well. So Villa exploiting those areas is something where I can see Villa getting massive amounts of joy in this game as well, especially away from home when you're having to sit into these areas and then quickly you're having to be able to break, nick the ball back. I think it's something that Villa will definitely be able to target. So where are the major matchups within this game? Where are the key battles? There are quite a few and we'll run through them. So key battle number 1, Kvaratskhelia up against the Aston Villa right back. If it's Disasi, then 1v1 Disasi, very, very strong, very, very powerful, very aggressive, but he won't be able to do all of that on his own. He's going to need his cover from the player that plays in front of him to come out and help double up on that area as well. So that's key battle number 1. Battle number 2, exactly the same on the opposite side. If it's Doué, if it's Barcola, then you're going to need to be able to double up on that side as well and make sure that you are protecting each other. You're not allowing a 1v1 situation, because 1v1s in football, if you're going to do 1v1, then you are asking for trouble as well. The next area is the triangle in the middle, key battle. We know that we're going to have Vitinha, we're going to have Neves, and we're going to have Ruiz as well. So it's important that Tielemans, Kamara, and the number 10 for Aston Villa are in this area, making sure that life is very difficult for those players as well. Next key battle is going to be the PSG centre-half up against Ollie Watkins. Pace round the channels, dragging players out of position. You drag that player out of position, then you're able to maybe move around and get another little runner that can go through as well. Options out wide for Aston Villa. Pace, those are massive, massive key battles. Special mention to Emi Martinez. He knows what's coming his way. Hostile atmosphere, so he also will be more than prepared to do the job and get a clean sheet away from home. Up the Villa. The Big thing for Aston Villa as well is our bench. Our bench is very, very strong. We've got different personnel for different game states. If Villa are 1-0 up and trying to see out a lead, we've got players like Onana that can come on. We've also got Matson that can come on and offer different options. He can occupy central areas and play more centrally as well. So he's a player that can be huge for Aston Villa. So we've got lots of different players. Asensio, does Asensio start? He can play in that 10. He can be in those areas, picking up space, finding passes, finding through balls. Big time player, won the Champions League numerous amounts of times. He will be looking to do a job on PSG and show them what he's missing, but he has been absolutely incredible for Aston Villa. So Asensio will want to be able to do really good things, whether he starts or comes off the bench. But you know, on here, I'm talking in general because obviously we don't know what the lineups are going to be, but you get the general idea of the way in which Villa and PSG will be trying to look in to hurt each other as well. The big weapon Aston Villa have as well is set pieces. Aston Villa set piece coach, Austin McPhee, one of the best set piece coaches in Europe. He is that good for Aston Villa. And this is an area in which PSG, in my opinion, are very, very weak and poor at defending. They are poor at defending set pieces. They are poor at defending balls. And they are slow to react to second phases within set pieces. So for Aston Villa to be really creative, which we are, a set piece that we scored against Leicester, everybody expects ball to go into here. Soon as the kick taker takes the ball, two players run into that area, little ball over the top, times the run to perfection, everybody scrambling around, and then one of these players ends up getting a little bit of a tap in as well. Another little option, which we've seen so far this season with Aston Villa, is the ability to have two different sets of players on both sides, and then you end up with the ball that will go into this side over here. Villa players move forward, PSG players slow to react. Villa player will end up peeling off, and then you get the goal that comes in through there. So we've got different set piece routines when the ball goes into this area, second ball into here. If one of these are slow to react, then you can get different options. But Villa are really, really creative on set pieces. PSG, from what I've seen, are slow to react to things that are happening in and around here, whether it's following runners, tracking runners, second phases, players peeling off players, getting options, take shots, little deflections at the keeper. Sometimes he has a bit of a mare, you know. This option for me, set pieces, is a crucial game state. If the game's tight, the game can be won on fine margins. So don't take for granted set pieces, and that Villa are very dangerous at all types of set pieces. We've got long throws, we've got corners, we've got corner routines, short corner routines. We've got the delivery of Marcus Rashford as well. So this is a real tactical look at what I expect to happen and a lot of the things that could come into fruition in this game. Now, I'm not for 1 second saying that PSG are a bad team. I'm an Aston Villa fan. I believe in my football team, and I believe that we will tactically get this right. I've no doubt that PSG are a good team. I've said this on every single episode that I've done, that they are coached really, really well. But Liverpool got it tactically wrong against PSG. There is no denying that they got it wrong. This midfield three of PSG ran absolutely riot because it was far too easy up against the Liverpool midfield two. You cannot allow this hub in this team to dictate play. We have to be on top of this midfield. And if we can compete with the midfield, then the rest of the game plan can sometimes take care of itself once everybody knows their individual roles as well. Beat some really good teams this season in the Champions League. We've beat Bayern Munich, PSG haven't. So you can see that we are still a very, very good team. And Unai Emery will tactically have Aston Villa spot on for this game. So I'm excited for it. Do I believe my team can win? Of course I do. Of course I do. What would be the point in not believing your team can win? So I've took a real tactical look at this, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've got insight. If you're a PSG fan, you've got insight on how we play, what you can expect Villa to do, and then vice versa. I've showed what I think the areas in which you can get into, the areas in which you could cause Villa problems, especially in these wide areas as well. So it's going to be a really intriguing battle. Hopefully it goes back to Villa Park as a competitive fixture. So everybody, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Drop a like, drop a comment. Up the Villa.